Sam Ohu Gon. I'm the Senior Scientist and Cultural Advisor for the Nature Conservancy of Hawaii and Palmyra. And I guess I've been in conservation for 40 plus years in Hawaii and elsewhere in the Pacific and in the world. And it's my honor to serve as the moderator for this distinguished panel of folks who likewise have a great deal of experience to share. So let's start. Oh, I've got my glasses. Let's start with introductions. So if each of you from left to right will take a moment to tell us who you are and your involvement in climate change action or cultural preservation.
Good afternoon.
Got to press until the green.
Good afternoon. My name is Wayne Tanaka. I'm the Sierra Club of Hawaii. And we are an environmental advocacy and environmental advocacy organization, the local chapter of the National Sierra Club. Prior to that, I was with the Office of Foreign Affairs, working with Lori and some of the other good folks in this room on policy issues relating to the conditions of native Hawaiians, which includes cultural preservation and environmental integrity, as well as pretty much any social issue that have to do with it. Thank you.
Hafide, good afternoon, aloha everyone. My name is Patrick Lujan, the Guam State Historic Preservation Officer. I heavily encourage checking out FestPac. Guam hosted it 8 years ago, and it was a week or 2 weeks of island party, nothing but good vibes. You usually have to go to these islands to experience that type of culture and art and festivities, and it's a wonderful thing that 20 nations, Pacific Island nations, come together. Unfortunately, COVID happened, so it was pushed back another 4 years. But he said it's not going to come around our islands for another 40 years. It's going to go off and rotate every 4 years. So it's such a wonderful experience. And are we done yet? Can we go to the FestPac?
Hello, Mike Kako. I'm Stanton Enomoto. I'm the Senior Program Director with the U.S. Department of Interior's Office of Native Hawaiian Relations. So welcome to all of you who have come here from afar. And yes, echo the sentiment, please go to FestPac. But by way of background, I've been with the Office of Native Hawaiian Relations within Interior for about 5 years, but prior to that, I worked with the National Park Service on climate change and cultural resource adaptation issues. So I've kind of been in the space for a number of years. Prior to that, I worked with the state of Hawaii with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and then did a lot of work with the environmental restoration and cleanup of Ko'olave Island. So for the DoD folks in the room, yeah, I go back a long ways, but it's good to be here. You're good.
Hello, Kako. My name is Lori Walker. I am from KHAW, Hawaii. That's my home. That's where I was born and raised. And that informs a lot of how I've gotten to this position and to this specific seat. I am the Integrated Assets Manager at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Not a super telling title, but what I do and what my team does is we oversee the management of all of our property assets. So that actually is both our commercial property assets as well as our legacy land assets. Thanks, Wayne, for explaining what the Office of Hawaiian Affairs does. We have property across the Pai'aina, and our legacy lands basically are preservation, conservation, cultural and natural resource management. My background is in architecture, actually. I have a degree from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I took it concurrently with Hawaiian language, so I integrated both of those disciplines to understand my kuleana here in Hawaii. So we'll see how that weaves into this conversation today. Mahalo for having me.
Good afternoon, thank you. My name is Chip Fletcher. I'm the interim dean of the School of Ocean and Earth Science and Technology at University of Hawaii at Manoa. I have a research team that focuses on climate resilient development, which is to model the impacts of climate change and then do a risk and vulnerability analysis of these modeled impacts with underserved communities with the goal of coming up with descriptions of shovel-ready projects to help these communities adapt with a focus on lower and middle income communities, underserved communities, because they are the first to experience climate change impacts and typically experience them in the most severe manner. I recently published a paper that I am very proud of and that I would like all of you to read. It's called Earth at Risk. And you can just Google Earth at Risk. The full title is An Urgent Call to End the Age of Destruction and Forge a Just and Sustainable Future. And it's a peer-reviewed paper in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. It talks not only about climate change, but about pollution, disease, biodiversity loss, and social inequality, which are 5 simultaneous global emergencies that interweave with each other and amplify each other. Again, just Google Earth at Risk. It's a very linear, easy to read paper, even though it's in a science journal. You won't have trouble following the characters. Thank you.
Wow, for those introductions. So I'm going to jump straight into a series of questions. And the first one is, although when people think of climate change, many think of preservation of sites. But in the Pacific, site preservation is not the entire picture. Climate change affects rainfall, temperature, other environmental factors that in turn can affect agriculture, traditional practices, native plants and animals of cultural significance, etc. What tangible and intangible cultural elements should be the focus of our climate change actions? And now it's a free-for-all.
Yesterday I was in a presentation on research I'm doing in study on radio and kind of organizational responses that happened. And this word came up that was really interesting. I haven't heard of it, but apparently it's been in academic lexicon for a while. It's called epistemicide, or the destruction of ways of knowing and the replacement of those things with Western ideas and concepts or nothing. That is when there are no Western English words to describe things like our relationships and environments. So I know. I thought epistemicide was an interesting word because it, in many ways, for me, it kind of started to define the disease that was destroying our planet. Where we've been losing this understanding of how deeply interconnected we all are to each other and to Aino. And replace that with this idea of environment as outside of us, as this external thing that where we can affect it and do things to it, and it's separate from humanity. And when I think about a planet that's dying, I feel like we need to start recognizing